Today on The Big Story, Singapore's GDP beat expectations. Find out what it means. It's the moment of truth for Primary 6 students. PSLE results are out. The special one appointed as Tottenham manager, but does Jose Mourinho still have his mojo? Hello and welcome to The Big Story, where we'll discuss the top news of today and explain why it matters. I'm Kimberly Jiao, coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. First up, the Singapore economy beat expectations and grew 0.5% in the third quarter compared to the same period last year. Avoiding a technical recession, authorities now project that the overall growth for 2019 will be a narrower 0.5 to 1%. That's up from the previous forecast range of 0 to 1% growth. But the picture isn't all rosy. Exports remained weak in the third quarter, and the forecast for 2019 has again been cut to between -10% and -9.5%. To help us make sense of these figures today, we have business correspondent Xiao Bei. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi.
So while the GDP figures are positive, they are still low, and some may say that it feels like a recession. So why is that?
Right, so there might be a few factors contributing to this sentiment. For one thing, we're actually looking at slower growth the coming year, and that's between 0.5% and 2.5% for 2020. And even when we look at the figures, the upper limit is actually lower than the full year growth that we had for 2018. And I mean, when you think about it, it might mean that even if things don't worsen, you might still see dampened business sentiment, companies being a bit more cautious with the way they are spending and the way they are hiring. And coupled with that are uncertainties on the horizon, such as the US-China trade tensions. We are still a bit unsure as to whether a Phase 1 deal is going to be sorted out, when it will be sorted out, when it will be signed, and whether this will lead to a more comprehensive sort of agreement in the longer term. So all these factors, like including the Hong Kong Human Rights Act that has recently come up, will add complications to the overall sentiment and situation.
I see. So what are the bright spots of the economy?
Right, so for the third quarter, actually the bright spots that we see this time are quite similar to what was mentioned in the previous quarters. So services producing industries, I think, have provided some support in finance and insurance, for example. We look at the demand in digital solutions and payment services, like propping it up. And also, I think areas such as information and communications have also been doing quite well. Construction has also been another bright spot, and it's expected to actually sustain growth into the coming year.
Oh, nice. All right, so the Trade and Industry Ministry, right, projected this sort of slightly higher growth for next year. So actually, why is that?
Right, so I think one important factor here is the manufacturing sector, which has actually been quite affected by the fallout from the trade war. So we are looking at a recovery in the manufacturing sector, especially for electronics, which has seen a cyclical downturn. So now things are actually starting to go back up again. It is expected, the manufacturing sector is expected to emerge from recession in 2020. So, we see the shock from tariff hikes actually sort of subsiding, and, firms restarting their capital expenditure plans. And also, I guess, things will start to look better overall from there. Apart from that, I mean, there are also other factors that support GDP growth. We see manufacturing supply chains actually shifting towards ASEAN as companies try to diversify from China. Mm-hmm. And I think that will also kind of contribute to the growth in this area, including in Singapore.
I see. Well, thanks for coming on to share more with us, Bei. Right. And if you'd like to get stuck into all the details and all the numbers, you can have a look at the full article, which is available on straitstimes.com. Now, the PSLE results were out this morning, but before we go on, here's a math question for you. What is the probability of having the exact same percentage of students moving on to secondary school in the past 4 years? The answer, 100%. In 2016, 2017, 2018, and this year, exactly 98.4% of students were eligible for secondary school. Congrats to those who got the results they wanted, but either way, today has been a very stressful day for students. Let's have a listen to what some of them had to say.
Very happy because I was very nervous before this because PSLE was quite hard.
Well, I thought I did pretty good because it was what I expected, and I put in the hard work, so it was kind of worth it.
I feel that I did my best but next time I'll put in more effort for the next exam that I'm going to take.
I'm very excited about it, and I'm also very excited about going to school.
My results were better than what I wanted. I feel very good because I managed to pass PSLE and get to move on to secondary school.
And here with us today, we have someone who's also been out there talking to some students, journalist Julian Young. Hi Julian, thanks for coming on.
Hi.
I know it's a busy day today. So let's jump straight in, right? This is sort of the second last year for the PSLE T scores, right? So could you tell us a little bit more about this new system that's going to be in place from 2021?
Yeah, the affected batch of students will be the ones who are in P4 this year or entering P5 next year. The biggest change, I think, on the top of everyone's minds is that the T-score system will be sort of changed to a achievement level based system. So meaning it's no longer of 300, but the students will receive grades or scores based on achievement levels from 1 to 8. So AL for short, they call it.
I see.
So the best AL is 1, and that's for marks above 90. And then the least best is AL 8, which is for marks below 20. So the best score in the PSLE would be 4 if the student gets all 4 AL1s, and the worst score would be 32 if it gets 4 AL8s.
I see.
Yep.
So this actually kind of sounds kind of similar to the O-level system in place.
Something like that, yeah. So, in terms of determining cut-off scores for entering secondary school postings next year, MOE has said that they will release the supposed cut-off scores for the AL system in the middle of next year for the P5 students, because they'll be the first batch who will be affected. Yeah, and usually they only release this in around October to November, but I think they're doing it a bit earlier next year, so parents and students will have some time to adjust.
I see. So what would you say are some of the potential impacts of this change?
Like what you said just now, I think some people have said that it's similar to the O-level system. So in this case, slightly different because of it's quite a big change. So in the past, with a score of 300, there's a lot of scope for differentiation of scores. So if let's say a student with like 249 and 250, that can actually mean it's actually quite a big difference, right? It could mean he could either get into, maybe he couldn't get into the school that he wants, even if it's just at 1 point. But in this case now, because it's only from 4 to 32, right? It's a lot broader in that sense for students to apply to different schools. So it could be the case that there are a lot of students that apply for the same secondary school. Yeah, so I think it will be clearer when MOE releases how the cut-off scores in 2021. And yeah, I think we just have to wait and see.
I see. So yeah, well, it remains to be seen for now, but we will wait along and as we will see, as you mentioned. Thanks, Julian, for sharing more with us. And if you'd like to see Julian's full story as well as other news on education, do visit straitstimes.com. And now let's move on to What's Trending, where Dylan will share with us what's buzzing in the internetverse. Dylan?
Thanks, Kim. It's time for What's Trending. First up, Boys with No Love. The 2020 Grammy nominees have been announced and have left many BTS fans upset by the band's total shutout, even after they broke multiple records this year. The internet was abuzz with fans expressing their displeasure, with one fan tweeting they'll never nominate BTS for Grammy's Album of the Year because the music isn't in English and they are biased towards English artists. Even Halsey, who collaborated with the band, came to voice her support for them in a tweet. BTS are not alone in getting snubbed. Taylor Swift and Sam Smith didn't get any nominations as well. Billie Eilish, Lizzo and Ariana Grande lead the way in the nominations. Next, Crikey Mate, a kind-hearted Australian lady was seen taking off a shirt to save an injured koala as bushfires continue in New South Wales and Queensland. In a viral Facebook video, an injured koala is seen trying to escape until the woman makes her way to the burning site and dashes out with it wrapped in clothing. The traumatized koala is then heard crying aloud as she attempts to pour water onto its burnt body. She later took the koala to a nearby koala hospital. Kudos to you, ma'am. Finally, we've all seen the video of a man riding his PMD on a walkway shelter. It seems like the police are clamping down hard on those who flout the rules. Police have arrested the 19-year-old on the grounds of rash act, using images from police cameras and speaking to people on the ground. If convicted, he can be jailed for up to 6 months, fined $2,500 or both. Perhaps this will discourage PMD riders from finding creative ways to ride their PMDs following the ban on footpaths. That's all for What's Trending today. If you've seen a story you want to share, link it in the comment section below. Back to you, Kim.
Thanks, Dylan. 1 year after he got the sack at Manchester United, whether you love him or hate him, Jose Mourinho is back. The special one is now the head coach of Tottenham Spurs. Spurs sacked Pochettino on Tuesday before entrusting Mourinho with the task of reviving their fortunes. In an interview for the club's website, Mourinho said, "What can I promise? Passion for my job, but also passion for my club. I couldn't be happier, and if I was not as happy as I am, I wouldn't be here." The team will play against Man U in 2 weeks. With us in the studio now is TNP digital editor Jonathan Roberts to tell us more. Hello.
Hi.
Well, thanks for coming to be our sports pundit of today.
Oh, yeah.
First off, what is your opinion of Mourinho's new position?
Essentially, the whole situation is nuts. Totally nuts. You don't have to be a Spurs fan to realise that this situation is complete sadness wrapped in madness.
Oh.
It is sad that a manager who has taken a team to such heights did not have the backing of the board to take things further. Mm-hmm. It's sad that it's a further indication that EPL chairmen and boards just think magicians come by very easily. And it's especially sad because this move essentially relegates a once great manager, Jose Mourinho, shall we say, to that of a short-stay journeyman. As for how he will be, based on previous gigs, I'd say strong start, followed by an acrimonious finish.
Oof.
Yeah, and if this stint with Spurs lasts the full contract, which I think is to the end of the 2022-2023 season, it would be surprising to miracle.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, looking at your response, plus the fact that there seems to be already a Mourinho out hashtag, and he once said that he would never manage Spurs, what would you say is the reaction to this right now?
The best reaction to the situation, and I'll just read from my notes for a moment. Spurs and England legend Gary Lineker said, "Good luck with finding a better replacement. It ain't gonna happen." That said, some people think the move is good. Former Liverpool players, I should point out, Graham Souness and Jamie Redknapp, they seem to believe that Mourinho is going to be the quick fix to silverware. He's going to get the silverware that Pochettino didn't manage to get. But generally, the consensus is a resounding, huh? Some say, some point to the lack of real success in recent years makes Mourinho more of a myth than a manager.
I see.
Yeah. Otherwise, this really is less about why Spurs brought Mourinho in. The bigger elephant on the pitch, let's say, is why Spurs let the situation with Pochettino get so bad in the first place.
I see. Well, you know, Spurs, as we know, have a game against West Ham on Saturday, and they actually play Man U 2 weeks from now. And the first matches, they're crucial for new managers, right?
Of course, yeah.
So what are you thinking?
Well, it's going to be interesting because obviously this is Mourinho play his replacement at Man United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There'll be no love lost there, I don't think. But look, if he wins early, a couple of wins do not mean the dawn of a great new era, as Solskjaer himself has found out. However, a string of losses could cause an even greater fan revolt. I think this could be a return to the fallow years for Spurs, and as other big clubs have found, and Spurs should have learnt themselves, after one great manager, it can be years before you find another. So, sorry Spurs.
Oh, what a conclusion. Well, thanks for coming on to share more with us, and hope you enjoy the game this weekend. And those were the top stories of today. For more news and videos, do head on to our website at straitstimes.com. I'm Kimberly Jiao, and thank you for joining us today on The Big Story. See you tomorrow.